Welcome back, everyone. This is MandoAllday, back with another video. And in this video, we'll be doing an overview of Batman Shadows of the Bat, House of Gotham hardcover. As always, I'll be talking about a little bit of the story, the art, and of course, if it's worth the purchase or not. But before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So, let's take a look in front of the dust jacket, which I like that realistic look to it. The spine, the back. Alright, let's take a look at underneath the dust jacket. There we go. Front of the book. The spine. The back. And of course a full spread. Alright, and I just want to clarify there's two different books that have similar names. So I already did an overview of this one, but this is Batman Shadows of the Bat, Batman Shadows of the Bat. Obviously this is House of Gotham, The Tower. And I'm bringing this up because when they first announced these two books, it was a bit confusing because, again, both share the same name, similar name, and they both share the same comic numbers. This is 1047, 1058, and this one is going to be 1047, 1058. Again, DC, the one who did it, but anyway, so I just want to clarify two different things in two completely different stories. So I want to clarify that. But anyway, so let's talk about House of Gotham. So what is this book about? Mainly, it is a book about a little kid who ends up being a witness. Oh no, well, yeah, he witnesses something fatal. Well, I'll say for what it is, because it's early on in the story. He basically is a witness to something tragic, and being a victim of both Joker, Batman, and Gotham City. Now, I know I mentioned Batman because I don't want to say too much. I'll spoil it because it is a short story, but it's basically of a kid in his perspective and his viewpoint of what happened and the consequences that happened early on in his life, and just how essentially Joker, Batman, and Gotham City itself kind of molded him to become who he is, or ends up becoming. And I'm not going to spoil anything or go into it too much because, like I said, it's a short story, but that's what the main book is about. Just him and seeing his perspective, how he goes through life. You know, one, seeing what he had, seeing his parents get killed, but more importantly, going through the cracks, living life within Gotham City and seeing everything that goes on. I know I'm sounding very, very vague because I want to be vague because I don't want to say too much. And I say this because the story is fantastic. I really love the story. I did not know anything about this book. I went to a book knowing little to nothing, except for there's two different books with similar names, and I really, really loved it. Because essentially what it is, like I said, it's just a kid going through the motions. He witnessed something happen early on as a kid that affected his entire life. How he sees superheroes and villains, and he builds up all this anger against them. And you really see how this kid is he's just a kid. He's an innocent kid, you know, just living day by day. But unfortunately, things happen. The Gotham City in itself happen, aka certain events. I want to be vague because I don't want to spoil anything, but I will talk about a little bit more in a bit. But that's mainly the book is about. It's just this kid going through the motions, seeing his point of view, how he meets with certain villains, how he goes into the system, aka orphanage, aka Arkham Asylum. You know, when he should be helped and get the help he needs to kind of better himself, because what he witnessed is pretty tragic. But you see how it all molded him to become who he becomes later on. And I love this story. This is a fantastic story. The pacing of it is between average to above average. There are some moments where it does slow down a little bit, but for the most part, that's between average to above average. The art itself, it looks good, it looks clean, but the story itself and with the struggles he goes through, you just feel so bad for this kid because he's just an innocent kid. He just needs guidance, but unfortunately, life happens, Gotham City happens, Joker happens, Batman happens, to where each story is just like, oh, come on, give this kid a break. I'll talk a little bit about it. So this story takes place over 10 years, and each issue is just a different part of Batman-ish, if that makes sense. Again, I don't want to say too much, but I'll say this, though. He meets early on a Robin, and when he sees his Robin, the little kid sees Robin, he sees this Robin very acrobatic, doing flips, you know, doing the good things, saving people, and just mesmerized by this Robin who's doing all these acrobatic moves and so forth. Next time, he sees Robin again, but this time, Robin is kind of an asshole to him, very attitude, very like a jerk, and it's just like, dude, chill. Another time he meets Robin, but he's very passionate and caring and really wants to help him. If you get what I'm saying, if you kind of get the clues or hints, you can kind of get an idea what I'm referring to. If you don't get the clue, don't worry. Just read the book and you'll see what I mean. And it's just, again, you just feel sorry for this kid because every story is just like something that just happens. There's another story where he meets a certain villain. Again, I want to be vague, but he meets a villain, and this villain basically tells him, hey, you got to step it up, man. You got to earn respect. You got to do something to get that respect. People to treat you differently. So this villain essentially gives him a gun. He says, you know what? Take this gun, shoot a guard at him. Kill a guard. And at the end of the day, this kid is a good kid. And he ends up not doing it. But unfortunately, though, when he points that gun to the guard and he decides, you know what? I'm not going to do it. When he puts that gun down, unfortunately, the guard sees him, turns around, and things happen. And that's where you feel so bad for this kid, and that's what keeps you hooked in, because you want to see how it's going to turn out. And each issue or each chapter is short, it's like 10 pages. So it goes by very, very, very quickly. But you see this kid, and he's just, life puts him there. Gotham City puts him in tough situations to where, you know what, he's going to be turning almost similar to the Joker from Walking Phoenix, where one thing after another just keeps pushing him, and eventually where he's had enough and he twists, right? If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Think of that here, is where this kid is just has no guidance. I don't want to say too much again, but essentially Gotham City in itself keeps pushing him every day. Every story is just bad luck and different little things, and to the point where he ends up becoming who he becomes because of everything that happened. And this, again, it's all because of what happened early on as a kid. And I really, really love the story. I know what I've said probably kind of sounds weird, because it is kind of weird, but by the time you read the third story, you pick it up right away. Okay, I get it. I know what's going on. Go. But the writing is so good, and you just feel bad for this kid, where this kid he's a good kid deep down in his heart, but unfortunately, things happen. I'll say one thing that does happen, though, is that you do see what he goes through during a really huge event, aka No Man's Land. So you see his perspective, what he goes through during No Man's Land. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. If you don't, then read No Man's Land so you can understand more. But anyway, so you see his perspective and what he goes through during No Man's Land, where essentially he has no guidance. There's obviously no heroes and so forth. So he's kind of lost. He's kind of adapting to his environment, aka Gotham. Hence why I said the consequences of Joker, Batman, and Gotham. And that's what the main story is about. And to me, I really, really, really dig this story. This is such a surprising story. It caught me off guard, but I'm telling you, highly, highly recommend reading this book, getting this book. You won't be disappointed. It was completely unpredictable. I didn't expect this. The way it ends, it's just so good. I'm not going to say how it ends, but to me, this is not a thumbs up. This is 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend getting this book. Very relatable to anyone in general. Doesn't matter where you are, because any one of us can be a victim of some incident that happens in our lives, and that can affect us for the rest of our lives. And exactly what it is. This kid got something tragic happened in his life early on that affected him for the rest of his life, and that's so relatable, and it's so interesting, and that's what I think hooks me more, because any one of us can relate to that. Something can happen at any given time, and that can affect us for the rest of our lives. And you see that here, and it's so relatable. And I'm telling you, highly, highly recommend getting this book, House of Gotham, hardcover. 2 thumbs up for me. Let me know what you guys think. Have you read this book? Do you plan on reading this book? Leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the support channel to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So that includes an overview of Batman Shadows of the Bat, House of Gotham hardcover, and on to the next one.